Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I created a mixed media canvas from a thick cardboard base. I'm starting out with a lovely floral stencil and a glossy heavy gel to create a textured background. I will apply it with a silicone brush, starting from the upper corner. This gel is an acrylic-based gel that can be mixed with paint to create a colored texture paste, but by itself it will dry completely clear. Because this gel is quite liquid, I secured my stencil with some washi tape, and as you can see for this corner, I stenciled the whole image, and I'm slowly adding some layers. Now I moved on to the lower opposite corner and I'm doing the same thing. Now that I'm done with the corners, I will add some more stenciled flowers on my base. I'm just doing it randomly without thinking too much. And this is how it looks dry. As you can see, it's clear and it's very glossy. So to make sure my acrylic paint holds on to an even base, I'm applying some white gesso. When you're applying gesso and you have a texture background, make sure your layers of gesso are thin. In case you feel like you need more, it's better to apply two thin layers rather than a thick layer so you don't lose the texture from whatever texture paste or gel or medium you're using. I started to apply the gesso on the areas where I had my heavy gel, and then I worked my way in onto the rest of the background. Now that the gesso is dry, I started to apply my base color. I chose this lovely teal color and I'm using a sponge applicator and doing some circular motions to make sure my application is smooth and more even. The base is done. Now we'll grab a dry brush and start to apply a lighter teal color to some of the textured areas and some of the corners. I switched to a dab applicator so I could get a darker highlight in some of the areas. I went back to my stencil and with a blending brush and black ink, I'm adding some flowers on the background. Again, I'm doing it randomly without thinking too much, just adding them where I feel like there needs to be some filling up of the space. Now I've grabbed some distress spray stain in peacock feathers and I'm adding some splatters directly from the nozzle. Now I'm spraying on the background and moving around the ink. I then decided to add some water to spread out the ink even more. You'll see that once the spray stain is dry, it won't really stand out from the background because the two colors are very similar, but don't worry, in a bit you'll see what happens. And this is where the magic happens. Now I will add this crackle varnish all over my background. Once the crackle varnish is dry, the distress spray stain that we've added before is going to look dark again as if it was wet. I don't really know why that happens, but my theory is that because the crackle varnish is wet, it reactivates the distress spray stain, so when the varnish dries all over it, the distress spray stain doesn't have the ability to dry, so it remains wet and it creates this beautiful effect on the background. And here you can see the lovely effect that the crackle varnish has created with the distress spray stain. With a sponge, I'm applying some golden ink into the cracks. And then I moved on to some distress oxide spray in Vintage Photo. I'm applying it with a brush, letting it absorb into the cracks of the varnish. And now that the ink is dry, as you can see, it really gave our background a more aged and vintage look. I went back to the golden ink and my sponge applicator, and again I'm bringing out more of the cracks. To finish off this background, I decided to go back to the glossy gel and grabbed some dip pen ink, and I'm mixing them together. As you can see, now that I've mixed them together, they looks like a muddy mess, but don't worry, trust the process, and in the end it's going to look amazing. My project is not finished yet. This video will have a part 2, so make sure to subscribe, like the video, comment down below, and stay tuned for part 2. Bye!